specific problem, and then I can probably do that in a future video. Okay. Okay, so let's start right away. Okay. So it says a 10-pound block B rests as shown on a 20-pound bracket A. The coefficients of friction are 𝛎s = 0.30 and 𝛎k = 0.25 between block B and bracket A, and there's no friction in the pulley or between the bracket and the horizontal surface. Part A, determine the maximum weight of block C if block B is to not slide on bracket A. Part B, if the weight of block C is 10% larger than the answer found in A, determine the accelerations of A, B, and C. So here's what we have going on. We have a weight right here, weight C. We have weight B right here. And then this is bracket A that also has a weight. So bracket A is 20 pounds, B is 10, and C is the unknown. So we are going to find weight of C. That's part A. So we want to know the maximum weight so that B does not move with respect to A. So this is A, this is B, so we want them to pretty much be moving together to the right as C comes down. So B should not be sliding on A because of that friction, right? So there is no friction between the horizontal surface and A, so A is free to move this way. So that's something to keep in mind. I always recommend, take some time to analyze the problem first. Think about what's going on, because for me, definitely, I think I had just assumed that A was fixed, but if you think about it, they said that there's no friction here, so that means that it's gonna also move to the right. So yeah, so now that we have all that pretty much figured out, we can pretty much get started. Let's see, I don't think we said anything about part B, but pretty much that one. So part B is basically saying that if you increase the weight, which we said was supposedly the maximum, so that B doesn't slip, if we increase it, what are the accelerations of A, B, and C going to be? Because that's going to change once we go above that weight limit. So that's going to be part B. Alright, so let's write down everything that we are given, okay? So we're given the weight. Oh, actually, let me make sure that this is on manual focus. Okay. So we're given weight of B, that is 10 pounds. We're given weight of A, that is 20 pounds, okay? And we also have the coefficients of static and kinetic friction. So we have 𝛎s = 0.30, 𝛎k = 0.25. So again, this is between A and B. Whoa, what was that? Okay, I went a little crazy. You guys already know by now that my Goodnotes goes crazy sometimes. Okay, so let's see. Okay, and then there's also, we need to know is increased by 10%, so that means that it's going to be the original weight plus 10% more, which ultimately is 1.1 times the original weight. Alright, and I think that's pretty much it. So, yeah, so we're gonna, once we find that weight of C in the first part, we're gonna times it by 1.1, and then that's gonna be the new weight, and then based on this new weight, we're gonna find the corresponding accelerations of A, B, and C, okay? Alright, now let's move on to the solution. So, I already have like all of the diagrams ready to go. Okay. So, we're going to start with the kinematics. Okay, let me just write that in red, okay? Kinematics. So this is basically when we analyze the motion that we have going on, because this is constrained motion, right? So this process, I guess, is really common when you have pulleys and you have, a cable or rope. So these are very tricky because you have to choose your datum and your labels very wisely. So you want to make sure that when you choose the datum that it's like at a fixed point. So since we know that A is moving, B is moving, let's make our datum over here at the end. So this is going to be kind of like our I don't know how to call it, but like our datum, like our starting point, I guess. And then we're going to start labeling pieces of the cable. Okay. So we can say that from here to here is going to be S sub A, SA. And then from here to here is going to go, let's do that again. So it's going to be to this little line, this is going to be SB. So all of this, it's pretty much, you can label it however you want. That's why this is so tricky, because it can vary, but as long as you do it right, you should get the same answer no matter what. But I think this is probably the easiest way to label it. And then we do have this fixed length. Usually for fixed lengths, we use the letter P. So I'm just going to call that SP. And I say that this is a fixed length because we're saying that this here is fixed, and this point is also fixed over here. So this length right here, or that distance, does not change. And then finally, we also need to account for this piece. So this is going to be SC. Okay. So from here, we're going to go ahead and add up all the pieces of the cable or the rope, whatever you want to call it. Okay. We're going to say that the total length of the rope is the sum of all those pieces. Okay, so we're going to start with, let's start with this piece. So it's going to be this piece plus this one plus this one. So all of these pieces of the rope are constants, so they won't really matter, but we're still going to include them, okay? So we're going to say, in order to get this piece right here, that's basically going to be this total SP minus SA. So we're going to add SP minus SA. And then the last piece of the cable is going to be right there, which is just SC. So we're going to add SC. And then, like I said, we do have those constants. So we can write plus the constants. So from here, we're going to go ahead and take the derivative. So remember, this line is basically your position. If we take the derivative, we're going to get the velocity. And then if we take it a second time, we'll get the acceleration. Okay. So the length of the cable is just a number, right? It's, however many feet. I don't know how many feet it is, but it's just a number. So when you take the derivative of a number, you're going to get 0. So this is going to be 0. Okay, so now when you take the derivative of all of these s's right here, you're going to get v and then the corresponding letter. So right here we're going to get vb minus va. And then we did say that this is a constant. So that's going to be 0. So we don't have to include it. Or you can write plus 0 if you want, but I'll just leave it out. And then we have minus SA, so that's going to become a minus VA. And then this is going to be plus VC. Okay. So taking the derivative once more, we get AB minus AA minus, well, I guess we could just combine these. So we have minus 2AA plus AC. Okay, so already we have an equation that we could probably use. Right now we don't really know what we're going to do with it because we have too many unknowns here. So let's go ahead and start doing our free body diagrams so we can see, or at least have an idea of what needs to be done. So since we have multiple bodies here, we have different weights. A has a weight, B has a weight, and C has a weight. So we're going to do 3 different free body diagrams because they're all experiencing different things. So this first one is going to be FBD at bracket A. Oh, I spelled bracket wrong. Bracket A. It does have a C, right? Yeah. This is why I'm not, an English major. Okay. And let's just go ahead and do all of these. This one, we can just make this one FBD at block B. And then this one will be FBD at block C. Okay, so I hope you guys can see everything well. I hope my hand is not really blocking, but okay. So over here we'll just do the KD, the kinetic diagrams. So KD at A, KD at B, KD at C. Okay. So we're going to focus on A. So what is A feeling in regards to forces? What kind of forces does it feel? It has its own weight, right? Weight of A. It also feels a normal force from the surface. There's also a pulley attached to A, and it has 2 cables right here pulling the bracket to the right. So we have 2 tension forces. We also have the weight of B, but this is going to act as a normal force. so we'll call that normal force of, I guess we can just say AB because it's between A and B. So yeah, or you could just call it NB, I guess. The labeling is pretty much up to you. Alright, and then there's also friction between A and B, right? There's no friction right here, but there is right here. So we need to think about what direction the friction is going for each of the bodies A and B. So it might help to think about B first. So if you think about it, B wants to move to the left because there's this cable pulling it down, right? But there's friction, so friction is always going to go in the opposite direction of where the motion wants to go. So that means for B, the friction is pointing to the right. Now for A is going to feel an equal and opposite force of that friction. So if B is feeling it to the right, then that means that A is going to experience the friction force to the left. And we'll just call that friction AB. Okay, so that's pretty much all of the forces that A feels. Okay, now for B, of course we have the weight of B. We have the normal force from the bracket A on B, so we'll just call that NAB. We said that there's that friction force, the same one is just in the opposite direction, right? And then there's also this cable attached to it on the side, so that's going to go to the left. And that should be it for block B. Okay, now block C is pretty easy as well. It just has this cable pulling it up, so there's tension right there. And then the weight of C is coming down. So this is the one that we're actually solving for, right? So let's just quickly go ahead and fill out the kinetic diagrams. So for A, we said that bracket A is going to move to the right. So let's just draw an arrow to the right. This is mass A, acceleration of A, and that's going in the x direction. Let's also write somewhere our coordinate system. So we can say that to the right is positive, and since block C is going down, we'll say that positive y is going down. Okay, because you always want to have the positive value going to where the motion is. So if everything is moving to the right and down, then you want to make your positive values to the right and down. Okay. So, yeah, I just put the x just to, show that it is going in the x, but you don't technically have to keep it there. Okay, and then we have B. B is also going to go to the right. Wrong one. So MB, AB, that's also going to the x. And then C is going down, we said, so this is MC, AC in the y direction now. Okay, so this is what we have so far. So let's go ahead and start applying Newton's second law, F equals ma. So we have our free body diagram and then our kinetic diagram. So we have our forces and then we have the motion ma. So we're going to apply F equals equals MA. So these two diagrams, okay? So let's start with the first one. So we're going to do the sum of the forces in the X, okay? Again, positive is going to the right. We're going to sum up the forces in the X, and that is going to equal MA, acceleration of A in the X direction. So, as you can see, we have two tensions moving to the right, so that's a positive 2T. We have the friction AB going to the left, so that's minus FAB. And those are the only forces in the X direction, so we're going to set that equal to MA. And at this point, we can just write AA. We don't have to write the X anymore. Okay. So, we can, I guess, just start plugging in as much as we can. So we have 2T. We don't know what T is, right? So we're going to leave that blank. If we break down this friction force, that's going to be mu S times the normal between A and B, since this is the friction for between A and B. So these two have to match. And we're using mu S here because we're saying that B is not slipping on A. So that means the friction here is strong enough that it's holding B steady on top of the bracket. So static friction means that there's no movement. If there was kinetic friction, that means that it would be moving, maybe a little slower because of the friction, but it's still moving. So right here we're going to use mu S. Okay? And then again, that equals to MA times AA. So since we're using pounds, seconds here, we're gonna go ahead and say that the mass of A is equal to the weight of A divided by 32.2 feet per second squared times AA. Okay, so this is gonna be your G right here. So if we were in SI units, we would use 9.81, but we're going to go ahead and use this one since we're dealing with a different unit system. Okay, so you always want to make sure you're flexible between unit systems. Alright, so I think we can plug in a little bit more. We don't know this, but we might be able to find that in the next free body. So let's go ahead and move on to this one. I don't really think the sum of the forces in the Y will be helpful for this. So we're going to go ahead and just skip that for now. Okay. So let's go ahead and add the sum of the forces in the X. I'm going to set that equal to MB, AB in the X direction. So we have a positive FAB, we have a minus tension, and that equals MB times AB. Again, this is going to be mu S times normal AB minus tension equals, we could actually just plug in weight B over 32.2, and then this is just AB. Now we can also do some of the forces in the Y for this one because it will help us a lot. So we're going to apply the same formula. Some of the forces in the Y, we actually said that positive is going down, so let's change that. And then that's going to equal to MB times AB in the Y direction. However, there's no movement for B in the Y direction, so this is going to go to 0. So if you sum up all of your forces, it's going to equal to 0 ultimately. Okay. So we have weight of B going down, so that's a positive. solve for the normal force between A and B because we're given the weight of B, so this is going to be 10 pounds because this was a given. This one was given to be 10 pounds, okay? So we can go ahead and save this answer. And let's move this to the other side. Let's move it right next to it, okay? So, this was helpful because now we can plug that in here and over here. So, I don't know, let's just go back to here because we don't want to forget that. So, we're going to try to plug in as much as we can, okay? 2D minus mu s, which was 0.30 times 10 pounds equals weight of A, which that was also a given. A weighs 20 pounds, divide that by 32.2, and then times acceleration of A. So we can just keep simplifying if you want. This is going to be 3. I hate when it does that. And then 20 divided by 32.2 should be 0.6211 times A. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and highlight this. This is pretty much the farthest we can take that equation. So let's go ahead and do the same thing to this side. We have 0.30 times normal force between A and B, which is 10 pounds, minus tension equals 10 divided by 32.2 times A, B. So this here is going to be 3 minus T equals 0.3101 AB. So let's save that one as well, okay? Okay, now we do have to do the last free body for block C. Alright, so there's nothing going on in the x direction here, so we're just going to go ahead and skip to the y. Positive y is going down, and then that's going to equal to MC AC in the y direction. Alright, so we have a negative tension and a positive weight, so weight C minus tension equals to weight C over 32.2 times AC. And again, that's pretty much the farthest we can take it. So we do have quite a few unknowns here for now. So if we need to think about what's going on. So if we're saying that let's see, I'm gonna just do blue. Okay, so if we're saying that if no slipping occurs between A and B, then we're basically saying A and B are moving together. They're moving at the same rate, right? So we're saying that the acceleration of A is equal to the acceleration of B. So since there's no friction in the pulleys, that was stated in the problem that there's no friction in the pulleys right here. Basically, the acceleration is going to be the same throughout the cable. So if we're saying that A and B have a certain acceleration, this cable, then it's going to follow through, and therefore the acceleration of c is also going to be that same acceleration. They're all going to move the same at the same rate. So we can write plus, since there's no friction, in the pulleys, we can say that the same rope or cable means same acceleration. So we can just say that these are all equal. And then if you want, we'll just call that a simple A. Okay. Alright, so if we do that, then we can just go ahead and rewrite all of these equations, rewriting the accelerations. So let's just keep it in blue. So we have 2t minus 3 equals 0.6211 times a. We have 3 minus t equals 0.3101 times a. And then weight of c minus t equals weight of c over 32.2 times a. So let's go ahead and gather all of these up together. Let's see if I can do it on the same page without running out of room. And the last one is right here. Okay, there we go. So these are all of our equations. So we have 3 equations, and we have 1, 2, 3 unknowns. So that's perfect. 3 equations, 3 unknowns. Okay. Perfect. So you pretty much can solve this any way you want. You could probably put it in the calculator if you want, or you can just do substitution between equations. So we could just do that. So I'm thinking if we use the second equation and solve for t, we'll get t equals 3 minus 0.3101a. And then we can go ahead and plug that in to, let's see, I don't know, I guess the first one. So we'll go ahead and do this. 3 minus 0.3101a minus 3 equals 0.6211a. So yeah, you could just do it this way. It is a little tedious, but whatever you prefer. So you have 6 minus 0.6202a minus 3 equals 0.6211a. And then we have 3, and over here we have 1.24138. So if you solve for a, you get 2.4168, and this is going to be in feet per second square. So this is not a required answer. but you do need it to solve the rest of the problem. So we're just gonna kind of like backtrack and plug back in numbers. So we need to solve for t, so let's use this equation. Plug in a, and then we can solve for t. So if you plug that in the calculator, you should get 2.251 pounds. Okay. And this is the tension in the cable. This is the acceleration. And now we're going to find the weight of C so that B does not slip on A. So we can go ahead and plug back in this last equation. So WC minus tension, which is 2.251, equals weight of C divided by 32.2 times acceleration, which is 2.4168. So we have weight of C minus, if you divide this number by this one and then bring it to the other side, we have 0.075 weight C. And then we're going to go ahead and add that to the other side, so we have 2.251. So we're just trying to switch everything around so that way we can combine these two WCs. So doing so, we get 0.9249 WC, and that's going to equal 2.251. And then we just simply solve for the weight of C, which is 2.434 pounds. Alright. So this is the answer for part A. So this part is a little annoying because you have to like substitute, plug in. I tried doing this in my calculator, plugging in the equations like this, but I don't think I plugged it in correctly, so I didn't get these answers. So I just wanted to do it by hand just to make sure. But if you're more comfortable plugging it into a calculator, you could go ahead and do that. I think if you have a graphing calculator, you should be able to do that. So this is the one that I just bought, actually. I asked you guys which one I should buy, and this one won the poll. So yeah, I've been, experimenting with it. But yeah, you can just do it either way. Okay. So now for part B, let's go back and remind ourselves of what we need to do. So for part B, remember they're saying now what happens when we increase the weight. So part A was asking for the max weight. So obviously when you increase it, everything's going to change. The tension will change. The accelerations are now going to all be different because once the weight changes, B is going to slip, and now each of them are going to have different accelerations. So it makes it a little more complicated. So we want to find each of those. Okay, but first let's go ahead and figure out what is the new weight. So that's pretty simple. We pretty much just take the original weight, which is 2.434, and then we're gonna increase it by 10%. So we're gonna times 0.10 times 2.434, or you could just simply do 1.1 times use the same equations. We're just gonna have to switch up some things. For one, slipping, the non-slipping is no longer a thing. So now we're saying that, okay, B is going to slip because once C gets heavier, it's going to change everything. Now B is going to slip, it's going to move. And A is also going to be a different acceleration. So because of that, because B is now moving on bracket A, there's kinetic friction involved. So static friction was because B is not moving with respect to A, but now since it is, we're going to use kinetic friction. So we can use, maybe, I'm just going to copy everything. Let's see. I don't know, I'll just copy this much. And then we'll go ahead and like cross off where we need to change. Okay, so I had the images turned off, but it's okay. So again, we're gonna have to change this mu s. So let's just go ahead and rewrite this so we can just cancel that, I guess. Just rewrite it. I'll rewrite it in red so we can see it nicely. So we're going to rewrite that with the proper coefficient. So 2t minus mu k, and then the normal is still the same. So we also have this the same as well. So now remember, we're going to keep the subscripts for each acceleration because now we know that they're not all going to be the same. They're all going to be different actually. So we have, we have 2t minus 0.25 because this is the coefficient for kinetic friction. Your normal force is going to stay the same. Your weight is going to stay the same as well. So that's 20 over 32.2. And then we don't know that acceleration. So we can just simplify this as much as we can. We have 2t minus 2.5 equals 0.621188. So we can save that equation. And let's also go ahead and change it over here because we did have the mu s right there. So let's switch these up. So it's going to become mu k times the normal force between A and B minus t equals weight B divided by 32.2 times acceleration of B. So we have 0.25 times 10 minus t equals 10 divided by 32.2 times your acceleration of B. So simplifying this a little bit more, we have 2.5 minus t equals 0.3101 AB. So another equation, and let's see, what else could we do? I think this pretty much can stay the same. You could just cross that off because we need to still keep the AC, so let's just turn this red so it can match the others. So we'll color that red and then highlight it. Okay, so is we do know the weight, right? Because we said that it's increasing by 10%, so this is our new weight. So we could actually plug that in here. So if you want to be more like specific, you could just add that that's the new weight. So we can go ahead and solve for what we can. So it's 2.677 minus t equals 2.677 over 32.2 times AC. Okay, so yeah, I mean, we can't really do much, but it is a step forward. Okay, so we also do have this equation that we got earlier. So we could use that as well. That's the relationship between the, you know, each of the bodies. So we can add that in as another equation. So that was 0 equals AB minus 2AA plus AC. So if we gather all of our equations up, let's see what we could do. Let's just gather them up, and maybe that will help us see things more clearly. So we're going to copy all of these. That way we can see how many equations we have and how many unknowns we have. So, let's see, so far we have 4 equations, right? So we'll just get rid of the highlighter. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 unknowns, and then we have 4 equations. So we can definitely solve. We have 4 equations, 4 unknowns. I guess this part is pretty much up to you guys. What I did was I just substituted this in, so I'll just rearrange this here, solve for AC, and we get 2AA minus AB. So we could plug that in this one right here. So we have 2.677 minus t equals 0.0831. So that is just simplifying this little fraction right here. And then if we plug in AC, we get 2AA minus AB. So yeah, it's honestly just a matter of just simplifying and taking the time to do that. What I did was I simplified this one and then I plugged in the rest into my calculator. So I guess you can do it either way. But let's just, I'm just gonna bring this down a little bit actually. So 8 just gonna leave 4. And then we're gonna do put feet per second squared. Okay. So we do need to find acceleration of c. So for that, we just go back to this equation. We have 2 times 3.147 minus 0.8798. So if you do that, you should get, where is it? 5.14. Wait, 5.4142. There it is. So this is 5.4142. Okay. So let's just write it next to the rest of them. AC equals 5.4142 feet per second squared. So we can go ahead and box these. We should also include the directions. So A and B are both moving to the right, and then C we said is going down. Okay. So I think that was pretty much it for part B. Yeah, so we just had to find those 3.